Thanks for tuning in to the Medevac podcast, powered by the Robert Irvine Foundation, whose mission is to support and strengthen the physical and mental well-being of our nation's heroes and their families. I'm one of your hosts, David Reid.
And I'm your other host, Christian Meyers. Thank you very much for joining us today on the Medevac podcast. If you're new here, price for the show. You have to share it with a friend or family member if you get something out of today's episode. We have a fantastic guest today. I think you're going to learn something new and hear something interesting. Our guest is Gabe Diaz De Leon. Did I get it right?
Got it
Correct.
Right.
With the accent and all. Perfect.
That's right.
Gabe spent 2 years in the U.S. Army between 82 and 84 when he was injured. He was actually left quadriplegic after an accident, and we're going to dive into that a little bit. He's also a world champion archer. Is that right?
Yeah.
World champion para archer. Is that what they go by?
I guess that's correct.
Para archery, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Regardless, world champion. Happy to have you here today. So welcome.
Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, excellent. Well, let's dive in. So 2 years of service, and we kind of talked about how you had planned to do life.
Right.
So let's kind of peel that back a little bit. What inspired you to join the military?
You know, I was raised military, so it's basically that's what we knew. I mean, I have two other brothers that, you know, they're like, they could never go in the military because he's like, well, I don't want people telling me what to do. It's like, I don't care what you do in life. Someone's going to be there to tell you what to do. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was just, I embraced it. You know, I'm definitely a rule follower. And, you know, it was just natural for me to, you know, high school was a junior ROTC 4 years. Of course, I played football and all that. So it was, which was fun because on Fridays we got to wear football jerseys, so I didn't have to wear the uniform either. So it was like, you know, but it was just natural for me to, because out of high school I went down to Texas A&I to play some football, and well, you know, I got caught up in all the partying and forgot to go to class. So the coach is like, you know, get off my campus. So
fair enough.
You know, and you know, I just, rather than waste valuable money and resources, and it's like, you know, I just wasn't mature enough, I guess, at that time. So I figured, you know, it was just.
And your father, you said your father was
my dad was
years.
30 years Air
30
Force.
Years.
Yeah, 30 years Air Force.
And what did he do?
He was a cryptologic maintenance guy.
Okay.
Crypto. So
how was it being raised in a household like that? I mean, it had to be.
Well, growing up on weekends, we couldn't leave the house until our room was inspected.
The white glove.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, the quarter bouncing off the bed, all that stuff.
Yeah. Hospital corners on the bed.
Yeah. And my brothers were terrible. I mean, they would hide clothes underneath my bed, you know, and it's.
So you get in trouble for that.
Oh, yeah. Underneath the mattresses, all that crap. It's like, dude, really? You know? So it was, you know, when my dad he would definitely tell us, you know, when I tell you to jump, I don't want to say why. It's how high. So, I mean, that's how we were raised. And, you know, raising my kids, I was the same way. It's like.
Very structured.
Yeah. You know, kids, they crave discipline, whether they know it or not. They really do.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, even, you know, years later, working in the YMCA, stuff like that, jumping ahead, you know, the parents would always say, you know, how do you get them to, you know, yes, sir, no, sir? And it's like, well, they're kids. It's like you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, every
You
time.
know, you don't want to be on them all the time, but you have to be.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of seeing that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, is this the whole kind of be yourself, and you're a unique snowflake. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, and it was funny because my brothers, their kids, I mean, they're, you know, I call my brother and he's out doing the lawn. I'm like, well, you know, what's your son doing? He's like, well, that's not his stick. It's like, dude, really?
There's plenty of things that we used to do that we didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Right? We had to do it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to mow the lawn.
You know, and we all go through the, you know, your kid wants an allowance. And it's like, well, I'll tell you what, I will give you an allowance, a substantial allowance, but I gave him an itemized list of all the stuff that he's going to have to pay us back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, you make your choice. What do you want?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's, there's certain things that if I want, being in a wheelchair, that I can't do, but if I'm going to pay someone else to do it, I'll give them the option to do that.
Okay.
So if they want to earn money.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but there's other things that's a given that just living in a household, that's, it's part of your obligation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's tasks to be done and chores to be done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pull your weight.
Yeah. Living in Colorado, my neighbors hated me because I'm out there in a wheelchair shoveling snow, the sidewalk, everything. They're like, God, you made me feel like such an ass. It's like
It's got to get done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to get done.
Yeah.
So let's kind of rewind it back a little bit because that is an interesting subject here. You weren't even supposed to have kids.
No.
So we will dive into that. So let's go all the way back to South America,
Okay.
right?
Central America.
Central America.
Right.
And this is, you joined the military, you figured, hey, Army's the way to go for me.
Right.
It wasn't like following the father's footsteps with the Air Force at all. You were like,
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, he told me if I had gone in the Air Force, I'd still be walking.
it's probably true, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, all the way from like Operation Bright Star in Egypt and, even in Honduras, the Air Force, I mean, they stayed in nice little hooches and air conditioned and all that. Hey, we were underneath the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just stayed off the ground where the snakes in the ground belong to the snakes. But, so he was probably right. But hey, in hindsight,
Yeah, everybody's path is there for a reason, right?
I wouldn't change a thing. Things happen for a reason.
Yes, I think so. And obviously you're a great dad, nowadays.
Yeah.
Which you weren't even supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk about that. So how did you join the military, joined Army, and what did that look like for you? MP.
Yes, I was, and to me, being an MP, that's like the best job in the military. Because I don't, the vocation afterwards when you retire. I mean, you have all kind of options.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, I think the MPs are held to a higher standard to most military, and I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a great life, and so it was. I'd do it all over again the same way.
Did you have any aspirations of something within that career field, like investigations?
Oh yeah,
or
yeah,
anything like that?
Yeah, no, I applied for CID.
Okay. Criminal
and
investigations.
Yep. So I was just waiting for time in grade, and I mean, I wasn't in quite 2 years. I was already in E4, and because making rank and all that back then wasn't as easy as it is now. Mm-hmm. It's like now they're just pushing all these ribbons and all that on you. So it's like, it was a little harder back then.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I remember once graduated from MP school, getting stationed at Fort Hood, and I'm going through all the, they're breaking in and all that. So I'm out there with the sergeant. Mm-hmm. He parks up at North Fort Hood underneath this shade tree and says, "Wake me if you hear anything." It's like, dude, no. But it's, it was a good experience.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that, it works in other countries where it's mandatory to serve 2 years.
Sure.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer that we need to adopt something like that.
We talk about that quite often as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like combat oriented.
Right.
Just a trade skill.
Yep. Because a lot of kids
serve.
are just, they're not mature enough to, they don't know what they want in life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's like we just had a banquet, Paralyzed Veterans of America banquet, our annual. And one of the speakers was saying that, we're like the military individuals who serve, it's like 0.5% of the population. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very small.
0.5%. You don't realize that. It was like, yeah, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
Because I remember years ago sitting down for lunch with Robert Dole, years and years ago, and I told him, it's like, I feel kind of bad that because they pay us so much. Our disability compensation is pretty substantial, I think. And he said that they don't pay us enough. He said for the, and I didn't realize it back then until this guy spoke the other day, that, it's true. There's not that many individuals that sign a blank check for your life.
Absolutely.
So
you're not going to go work for BF Goodwrench and they're like, well, there's a chance.
Exactly.
You'll get blown up this week.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the balance too, is like a not enough kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, you're stuck in that chair. And if it was, a corporation, say that happened at Apple.
Right.
There would be a substantial payoff.
Right.
That far exceeds what you're going to make in disability.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's what he said. He's like, they don't pay y'all enough.
Yeah.
So
It'd be $5-10 million from
That's
workman's comp.
That's also like, I think you have a very military mentality where it's like, okay, this is what happened to me. Adapt and overcome, drive on. Yeah. Like usually good mentality for it.
Yeah.
I think I did the same thing. I was like, yeah. They're like, can you ruck? And I'm like, my legs are hanging off. I'm like, yes.
I'll make it work.
You're going to make it work. Yeah. Give me a pair of crutches. I'll make it work.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, because after my injury, it was natural to work, even though the VA deemed you unemployable and, and all that. It's like, because, I got plenty of friends that, hey, they get, the disability comp and all that, and they're happy not to do anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm a firm believer to be an example for the kids.
Absolutely.
And now, how old were you when you got injured?
I was 19.
So 19 years old, and that's a big thing when they're like, okay, you could be retired for the rest of your life, but you're like,
just start.
What am I going to do? Just start
it.
Yeah. So definitely can't just stop and collect.
No. I mean, you got to give back. I'm a firm believer to give back what's been good to you.
Yeah, entirely. That's selfless service. That comes all the way back to that. So let's talk about that injury. So how did you find yourself in Central America first?
Okay, it was funny too, because I had dislocated my shoulder, and because we just got back from Egypt, we were deployed, and then they said, you got a couple of weeks, whatever. Well, it wasn't even a week. They're like, calling everybody back because we were getting deployed to Honduras, and I was playing pickup football here in San Antonio and fell wrong and dislocated, had AC separation, and they're like, no, well, you can't go. So it's like, no, I want to go. It's like, So it's like, it's to the clinic and all that, so they cleared me. I told them, no, it doesn't hurt. I'm good.
It hurt.
It hurt bad. But I wasn't going to get left behind. All my brothers are going over there. I need to go with them. So, so we got sent to Honduras, and we were just a lot of convoy escorts. The special forces were there training their soldiers, and that's back when they were peddling drugs across Nicaragua and to Honduras and funneling them into the States. And we were escorting heavy equipment towards the border to reinforce different areas. Kind of force them where we want them to go.
Sure.
And the blink of an eye is boom, boom, boom. You look down, and before you know it, the Jeep's like.
So you were just in a convoy delivering heavy equipment,
right? Yeah, and we were the lead Jeep, so I was standing up. I was a 60 gunner standing up.
Okay.
And it's like, you hear this, and I mean, the Jeep just shudders. And the thing is, back then we were those old Jeeps. I mean, that just short wheelbases, but really high.
Yeah.
So that thing just flipped fast. I mean, within
What did
seconds.
you hit?
Don't know.
Just have no idea.
The steering column fell out or something? Or,
the steering wheel, I think the steering wheel column was shot out.
Oh, you think somebody shot
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course,
And then-
police reports.
3
all
pops.
that. Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
So like
Boom, boom, boom.
gunshots.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I look down. It's like the show was in circles. Luckily, the driver bailed out, and it's like,
The driver bailed. Fuck
yeah,
everybody.
he just jumped out. He just jumped out. I'm like,
You're on your own.
Man.
I'm like, WTF? It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you gonna do after that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a 60 gunner, so I just ducked down and held onto the gun mount,
Yeah.
and then the Jeep flipped, and then the second time is like, phew, threw me out.
I think it's also a note, like it's a different time. This is the 80s, right? Early 80s.
Yes. Yep.
Nowadays, we get so exposed to service where we kind of know what we're getting into with social media,
Right.
news coverage, and all this stuff. You didn't have any of that back then. So, like, what is that experience like firsthand when you, I mean, get into the jungles like that? You've never seen probably anything like that in your entire life.
No, and it's, I mean, and we're in peacetime, but it's like when we land, it's like they're yelling everybody put their flak vest on and their steel pots and all that, and it's like, you know, you get fired at,
Yeah.
you know, and it was very different.
Reality check.
Sure.
It really is.
Reality check.
Yeah. You know, so anyway, after the, you know, laying there on the ground, not being able to move anything, and, you know, then they have to bring in the Black Hawk to lift the gurney down and put me off because they couldn't land.
Okay. Yeah.
So then they shipped me off to Panama for a few weeks, and from Panama they shipped me to Walter Reed.
Okay.
And I was at Walter Reed probably about 3 weeks. Panama for 2 weeks, 3 weeks there. They were waiting for a bed to open up at a VA hospital in Houston.
Okay.
Since I was from San Antonio.
So, at what point did you realize something was jacked up with your body?
You know, after being thrown about 30 feet, landing on the back of my head, I instantly, it felt like my shoulders, or my legs were on top of my shoulders, and I kept trying to, I was yelling at people, help me get my feet off, get my legs off my shoulders. They're like, there's nothing wrong with you. Your legs are right here, and they kept slapping my legs, and I couldn't feel anything. And I remember it was so hot, and I kept trying to shield my face, and I kept slapping myself, and I mean, to the point where I was making myself bleed. I mean, I was just,
Yeah.
you know,
So you had no feeling in your hands.
none. I
be able
lost
to-
everything.
yeah.
Right away, it just happened so fast,
Wow.
you know, and yeah, it was just the strangest feeling. And I remember the doctor showed up out of the helicopter, came down there, and first thing he says is, how come no one notified me of this exercise? I was like, what the hell are you talking about exercise?
Yeah.
Dude. So I'm really grateful for them, because right away they stabilized my neck with sandbags, and I mean, they knew exactly what to do.
Good.
And I think that really helped. That, you know, I had an 18-inch neck, so I was pretty fit and everything, and that really, the doctors really think that saved a lot, because
Okay.
That football neck.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you know, because especially when you're deployed somewhere, there's nothing else to do but
Workout.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. You go on duty, you work out, you know. And part of our responsibilities, you know, when we were there in Honduras, was patrolling with we always had the FUSEP, which is their international police, and we would have one of the Honduran soldiers. So there was always 3 in the Jeep, and I mean, it was just crazy, because we would go to, you know, these FUSEP, this international police would hear someone say, hey, there's some Sandinistas or whatever bad guys in this place, and we'd go there, and he'd tell us, stay out here. He'd go in there, take care of business. He goes, okay, let's go.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was weird as hell.
I mean, that wole conflict is a very weird time in history
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
The whole Iran-Contra
Yeah.
affairs.
Yep.
The Sandinistas.
Oh yeah, people were
and-
always like, well, I didn't know we got stuff going on there. And it's like, hey, there's a lot you don't know.
yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much weird history that piles
Yeah.
into that.
Because I'll talk to a lot of older guys, and they're like, yeah, when I tell them I was injured in Honduras and all that, and they're like, "Oh, you weren't supposed to be there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill Clinton said otherwise.
The support personnel, right?
Yeah. They would send out like 10 special forces and say that, oh, we only have 10 personnel in that area, but we have 4,000 support.
Oh, yeah.
Support personnel there.
Exactly.
Like they don't count.
Yeah.
We only have 10 operators there.
Yeah, exactly. So it was interesting, but I mean, it's like I said earlier, it's like, I enjoyed it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very unique experience.
Yeah.
Especially down there during that time too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got some great pics.
Yeah.
It was pretty neat.
So then you get transported to Walter Reed,
Yes.
and your whole kind of journey of rehabilitation begins.
Yes. And I think it was hard because after my injury, I spent 2.5 months in traction. So basically, they just flip you back and forth. So my view was the ceiling and the floor.
Wow.
For 2.5 months before they operated. And at that time as well, at Walter Reed, Beirut had gotten bombed in '84. So they had a lot of the Marines that were there.
Yeah, 500.
They had a rough time.
Yeah.
And I remember just yelling and screaming at them to shut the hell up. But they're like, it was pretty rough, and but
So they were being, you were telling them to shut the hell up?
yeah, they were just because they're having nightmares and all that, and it's like, and for me I was when I would finally fall asleep and then be woken up to screaming, and it was just the weirdest thing because for me I was always scared to fall asleep. I didn't want to because I felt like if I fell asleep I wouldn't wake up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to ask how you kept yourself sane that 2.5 months where it's just floor and ceiling. What do you do all day? What do you think about?
I had some great nurses.
Okay.
Great nurses. I mean, to the point where it's like when they would flip me, they'd get on the floor with me and we'd play games or whatever, and they'd make moves and all that for me.
Nice.
So it was different though once you got out of that realm into the VA world.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a whole different world when you're at the VA.
In what way?
They're just, I don't know. I don't want to say they're complacent with their job, but unfortunately with the VA, it's like you can kill someone and still have job security.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had friends that they literally they killed them.
Yeah.
And they're still with the VA. So, it's
Like mistakes or?
Yeah. In fact, one of my really, really, really close friends, we played rugby together and all that, and he was a West Pointer, and he went in for a routine gallbladder surgery, and they went to put a Foley in him and blew up the balloon in his urethra, and they couldn't cath him and everything, and he had a stroke and died.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
just for a gallbladder.
Just for a routine gallbladder.
Wow.
Yeah, and you hear things like, wrong leg amputated. And,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
horror stories. I mean, who was our guest who got the bacterial infection? We had anyway.
Zach Garner?
Zach Garner.
Zach Garner?
He did have bad luck in the hospital. Yeah,
He was there for like 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
But and then like you hear of like all the patients getting MRSA. Just
Oh, yeah.
dirty, unsterile surgical equipment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's nasty. I'll go in there for a procedure or whatever, and I'll tell them, it's like, y'all need to clean that bathroom. It's just nasty.
See, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's extremely bad.
That's a problem. The fact that we're spending so much money. I spoke to somebody the other night at the Medal of Honor dinner, and he is the CEO of a hospital.
Right.
He runs multiple hospitals.
Right.
And he was very adamant. He was a veteran, said he was in for 6 years. But he said if it was up to him, he would completely do away with the VA system and just hand veterans a Medicaid card and say, here, it's all for free.
Yeah.
Go to whatever doctor you need to.
Right.
Go see them today.
Yeah.
It would be significant reduction in cost and everything of what the
yeah.
taxpayers are paying for the VA system. On top of you're going to have care where you can hold people accountable too.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I've had shoulder replacements and all that. And it's like this is as high as I can lift this arm after they did a shoulder replacement on this side.
Yeah.
So it's like, but unfortunately in the state of Texas, a lawyer, even though it's malpractice, the lawyer can't, they're not going to recoup any type of money.
Any fees for that.
So they'd rather not, it's not worth the cost for them.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this though. There was a bill passed in 2019. I'll have to look up the actual name of it, but it allows active duty service members, reservists, guardsmen, anyone who's on any sort of active status. If you have medical malpractice within the military, you can now sue the military for medical malpractice, which is it's a brand new thing or relatively new thing.
Right.
Which I'm glad it's going that direction, but I think.
Well, they just need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
If they get sued enough, then maybe they'll be more careful.
One would hope. One would hope. Yeah.
There's also different levels to it. I mean, if you do a routine operation and end up killing somebody,
Yeah.
You should probably reconsider your medicinal practice.
And it kind of goes back and forth. You talk to physicians that say the same thing. Well, I won't touch it then.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, well, if you don't want help, then I'm not going to touch it then.
Like, that's not the right answer.
That's not the right answer. There's got to be a balance.
See, and that's where I'm extremely lucky that, with TRICARE and Medicare, I'm able to go on the outside.
Yes. And that's total and permanent. I think there's a huge disparage, and I think that they kind of make up for that because there is a huge abuse in the system for disability. Mm-hmm. We just talked about this with Eric.
Right.
And he like sits on the hill a little bit and does change for this, but
smart guy.
Yeah,
very smart guy.
But he was kind of discussing how the handicap placards versus disabled veterans parking in the spots now, and you have all these people being upset, but I mean you could literally just stub your toe and get a Purple Heart nowadays.
Yeah, and here I am because it was peacetime.
No Purple Heart.
No Purple Heart.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yet you're.
Yeah, devastating injury.
Yeah. So, but.
Yeah, and even if you did get a Purple Heart, it's the same Purple Heart as this guy over here who got a piece of shrapnel.
Right. And I think that's why. I'm not saying that they need to redo the whole system, but they need to look at how people were injured. I mean, I have friends and acquaintances, whatever, that were in Hawaii, dove into the ocean, broke their neck. Now they're set for life. So it's
kind of an issue, right?
Yeah. It's just that's why with my service and background, I just I was injured in the line of duty, while in uniform, and so it's if they ever have to revise the system, they need to look at that. I feel.
Agreed.
So,
can you talk about the differences? I mean, in the 1980s compared to today. I mean, nowadays, especially in this country, we're a little bit more conscious of those who have disabilities.
Right.
In the 80s, being paralyzed, that had to be tough.
Yeah.
A lot tougher than it is today, at least.
Yeah, it was. It was. Especially because when I was injured, I moved to Louisiana, which is a whole different story.
Why?
So they're not. They're a little. Anyway, their accessibility was back in the early '80s was non-existent.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, like, I'd go into, say, if I went to a restaurant, they're like, "Well, you can come in the back door." Because the front door stairs everywhere, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
I said, I want the same opportunities that you offer everyone else. I mean, so it's, but we're still dealing with that now. I mean, my wife and I just got back from a cruise, and we signed up for excursions, and it tells you that it's scooter and wheelchair friendly.
Okay.
It's accessible. Well, when you go there, the first thing they say is, well, can you walk? It's like, no.
Have a wheelchair.
Yeah. It's like, no, I'm in a wheelchair. And it's like, well, so.
Does that make you feel like just sometimes saying, fuck it, I don't want to do it?
Yeah. Oh, big time. It's just, it's like, what the hell's wrong with you guys? It's like.
They're just hoping somebody wouldn't call the bluff.
I guess.
Yeah.
I think what happens, unfortunately, is they get a lot of the gray hair population that realize that if you're in a wheelchair or a scooter or whatever, then you get front of the line, you get little extra privileges or whatever. And so they get used to these individuals showing up in scooters and then being able to walk.
Oh, yeah.
So then they group everybody together. And it's like, no.
Man, that reminds me of Southwest. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about?
yes. No, my wife and I went to Vegas one time, and that's back when they were serving peanuts as well. And she said, Dad, this is the holy water, holy peanut flight. And I'm like, what? Well, you got 20 people in wheelchairs. Of course, it's not their chair, it's the airport chair.
Yep.
And they drink the water and peanuts, and by the time we land, they're like miraculously recovered.
They can walk again.
Yeah, they don't need no wheelchair. They're off the plane.
That is so true. But to get to that pre-boarding,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
Holy
just so they
water.
can board up front.
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, we were just on the flight from San Fran back to here to San Antonio after the cruise, and there was 16 wheelchairs. We were like 35 minutes delayed because there was 16 people in wheelchairs. But the minute we'd land, the minute we'd land, I have my chair, another fella had his chair, and 14 of them walked right off.
Oh, man.
But we got delayed for that.
I'd be running them down with a chair.
Oh, I'm telling you. No, I have
I'll
one
put
time,
you in a chair.
I got one time we landed in Denver, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there waiting and waiting because unfortunately, you're first on, but you're last off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, where's my wheelchair? And she's like, oh, well, it's. I saw them bring it up. Some lady jumped in my wheelchair.
Oh, God.
They tracked her down in baggage claim with my chair.
She just went all the way?
Yeah. Like, what the heck?
You didn't
Good
notice?
Lord. Yeah. I'm like,
It's built for me.
where's my wheelchair? It's like, yeah, she was a pretty corpulent individual. And it's like, the chair's only 17 inches wide. How the heck are you going to fit in it?
Corpulent.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, we deal with that every day.
taking advantage of it, and it really screws other people over with those opportunities.
Oh, yeah, because, like, we'll go to the gate, and it's right away. They're like, there'll already be all these individuals waiting to get on, pre-board, and they take me right away.
Yeah.
I'm the first on. They're like, man, that's his wheelchair.
Yeah. That's well, you should be.
But they get pissed off. It's like, whatever.
There's no reason to get upset. There's nothing you can do to control it.
I will say, like, the attitude of people at the airport, I mean, it is a different beast because, I mean, you'll have people that walk up and they're like, are you first? Like, we are going to the same place
At the same time.
Yep.
You know, if it's a 5-minute wait or a 10-minute wait, we're still getting on the same airplane.
Yeah.
Just relax a little bit.
Yeah. Yep. That's funny.
But you have a whole nother dynamic when you're in a chair navigating that space as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, it's like we went to Honolulu and those individuals that were able to get on the bus, and they had a lift on the bus, but they didn't know how to use it. And they didn't, I can ambulate holding on to something.
Okay.
It ain't pretty, but it's functional.
Sure.
And they're like, no, that's a liability. So they paid $20 round trip to go to the Pearl Harbor Museum. Well, so we had to get a cab, and it was $100 round trip. It's not right.
Well, I mean,
That's not right.
ADA is supposed to cover all this stuff, is it not? I mean, that's the entire purpose, is that you have to make the effort, you have to make it right, or you be held liable, right?
Yeah.
But then you have like these options like Uber who are now starting to roll out these options, but they're 3 times as expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's
Oh,
frustrating.
yeah.
It's almost like you're getting punished for,
Yeah.
for
being in a wheelchair.
being in a wheelchair.
Salt in the wound. Yes. Are there other areas where you find it particularly challenging, or where you have to make modifications?
Not
Outside the
really,
airport?
because I'm a firm believer that, and I try to tell people this all the time. It's like squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like if you don't advocate for yourself, don't complain.
Yeah.
You know, even like with the VA and prosthetics and stuff, it's like, well, it's been 9 months and ordered that wheelchair and I haven't heard anything. And it's like, you know, it's your right. Go to prosthetics, get the PO number for that.
Mm-hmm.
You could call the company up and say, hey, I'm a veteran. VA ordered this chair. Here's the PO number. What's the status of it?
Yeah.
But they'd rather bitch and complain about it.
Yeah. Instead of doing the work.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's easy.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't, and I'll tell them, well, you know, we'll be at our meetings and the PVA, and it's like, hey, if you don't advocate for yourself, no one will.
You're very right.
That is true.
I hear that. I hear that a lot from typical veterans going through the VA system. All they want to do is complain about the VA system instead of diving in and taking a look at the basic paperwork you have to fill out, the basic appointments you have to make. It's really not that difficult.
It's not at all.
It's follow-up and consistency.
Yeah. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to do the work for yourself. They're not here to hand you the world.
No.
You have to let them know what you need.
You know, and the thing is, these individuals have to deal with hundreds and hundreds of veterans.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I'm guaranteeing shit's going to fall through the cracks.
Yeah. And oftentimes, a lot of those people are well worse off than you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
So they're going to get more attention.
Yeah.
Right? When you got a burn survivor who's missing 3 limbs, like, well, he's probably going to get taken care of first.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
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 There is a lot of like really just dense systems though that they need to flush out. I mean, there is certain things. Yeah. I do always say that is people ask, it's like, oh, the VA, I heard it's so difficult. And I say, you know, as long as you do the paperwork, you're pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. But there are things out there that are very difficult. Prosthetics.
There's some individuals that need to retire.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I had a mental health appointment, and you know, she said, "No, I don't need to know anything about you. I have your chart right here. I'm just here to ask what prescription medications you need." And then refused to give me those prescriptions when I asked about it. And I called the supervisor up and I said, "These are the type of people that you have advocating for veterans out there that that do not care. They're just punching their ticket to get a salary, and that's wrong."
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know, like, even like our rec therapy department on spinal cord, it's like, you know, they hired several times. They've hired people to come in, and they wind up leaving because they realize that they actually have to work. Maybe a recreation, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's, I mean, I'm not saying a monkey can do it, but, you know, it's not that hard.
No.
But they realize that, hey, it's more work than I thought it was.
Mm.
So,
welcome to life.
yeah. You know, a lot of paperwork, and you know, it's got to be done.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I mean, even being a military police in the Army, 70% is paperwork. You know, it's like, oh, I hated that. You know, that's why I didn't like, you know, make a lot of stops. It's like,
I don't write a lot of tickets because I don't like writing them.
Yeah. So it was.
Well, that's like a whole nother subject too. To talk about. It's like especially like smaller towns where you're like, you incentivize the employee by a certain quota that they have to create.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. You know, it's, you know, but I feel, you know, I feel really bad for the police out there now in today's society, because I mean they have a target on their back. Yeah. You know? I mean, granted, maybe some of them deserve it more than others, but you know, but it's still there, and it's like I tell my son, it's like, you know, if you ever get stopped, just do what you're told.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less. Just do what you're told.
Yeah. Fairly simple.
And you'll be fine. Because I mean, because my son, he's like, 6'8", 400 pounds. They see that getting out of the car. It's like, they're kind of like, I feared for my life.
Yeah.
Like, hell no.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is just one, the person being stopped obviously knows the law more than the police officer.
Oh yeah, and
you
go on YouTube and you see it.
I don't have
video
to show you
after
my ID.
video after
Actually,
video.
You do.
Yeah, it's
so everybody's their own lawyer, and yeah.
it just kills me.
And then,
like, dude,
and then you take it. It's just this never-ending pendulum that swings, where you just. Yeah, you say, let's defund the police officers and then complain about how they're not getting the proper training.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vicious circle.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. But, that's why I tell people, man, just do what you're told. It's like, just conform. Just conform to them.
It's the same with the
VA.
VA.
It'll be over.
Just do what you're told. A lot of people,
Yes.
Don't even get their benefits because they don't go to their appointments. And they'll reset your whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll sit there and complain. Why am I not getting my compensation pay? Did you go to the appointments? No.
No. Well, they get a letter saying, if you keep missing this appointment, we're not going to see you anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they start complaining about it. It's like, dude,
I can't.
They
see
warned
my
you ahead of
doctor.
time.
Yeah.
It's golly. It's like having a job. It's like, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
So it's not hard. It's not rocket science.
So you mentioned there was a difference between Walter Reed and the VA system
Yes.
and like physical therapy and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Because it is better now. Like, because I was in there, like I had shoulder surgery last year, and my stay in there, and I was there a week, was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably the best experience thus far with the VA.
Okay.
So, and that's been 40 years of care. And, but it seems like active duty military individuals, I don't want to say they care more, but it seems like they do. Sometimes in the VA, it's like you feel like you're putting them out or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
almost like a customer.
Yeah, and it's a terrible feeling because they're there because of us.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're not happy, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
go to private healthcare.
Yes.
Where you probably can't hack it.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, probably my best experience ever in a hospital was when I had neck surgery when I lived in Colorado. Went to Craig Hospital, and it was like night and day. And the food was good. It's like,
which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Good hospital food.
Yeah. I mean, it was unreal. And even just like I was talking about this last day, it's like, if you call for a nurse, they showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because there's times where, in the past, it's like I'm calling and calling and calling. It's like no one's coming.
That's got to be frustrating.
It's very frustrating. It's like when they found cancer on my right kidney, so I had a partial nephrectomy of the kidney.
Okay.
It took out 70% of it. And I remember, they had a Foley in there, and I was getting dysreflexic. It's autonomic dysreflexia. A lot of quadriplegics get it and then your heart rate goes up, and I mean, you can stroke out.
Yeah.
And I remember I was getting AD, autonomic dysreflexia, because the Foley was all the blood clots because of the kidney. It was clogged. And that's the only time I sweat ever, is when I have to urinate.
Interesting.
To this day, it's the only time. My lips turn purple.
The automatic response.
Yeah. We'll be at a restaurant with friends, and Priscilla, my wife, will look at me and say, "Go to the bathroom." Like, y'all been married too long.
She could just tell at this point.
Yeah, so it's like I was getting dysreflexic, and I kept ringing the call button for the nurse. 30 freaking minutes later, they took my blood pressure. I was like 190 over 100.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I mean, I told them, I do not want that nurse in this room again. Someone else.
Yeah.
I said, get me someone else. And here I was after surgery. I mean, I was gutted from here back here. They glued me together. And
wow.
I mean, it was just not a good experience at all.
Man.
Because they're too busy doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But I guarantee if I could gotten out of bed, my nurse was probably sitting over there eating something. You know?
I'm on my break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a long break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On break.
So, I mean, you know, and unfortunately, you know, you have to hear stories like that, but it happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. Mm-hmm. And it's getting a lot better.
It is getting better. I
So-
mean, 40 years to see that improvement.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, obviously, the VA is just getting completely inundated at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Where now they're recognizing outsourcing. Even the
Right.
dental has gotten
Yeah.
substantially better.
Thankfully, you can't even see a VA dentist in San Antonio anymore, which is
No.
good. You call to make a dental appointment,
Yeah.
they're like, outsourced
Yeah.
immediately.
3 months.
Yeah.
3 months to get an appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love community care.
Yeah.
It's you know, and I'll in a heartbeat. They're like, well, we can't see you until whenever, and they're like, we can send you out. It's like, just do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be better care, probably.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, there's times if I need an MRI.
Yeah.
Well, we're backed up. Like, say if I wanted an appointment, they set it up today. They couldn't see me for an MRI until probably December.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Which is,
extremely.
Yeah,
and
but
I was so PO'd because they did that.
Yeah.
So what happened is they're like, I need an MRI of the shoulder, and they're like, well, they can't see me for like 2 months. So then I talked to one of the docs on the spinal cord. I was telling them, so they put it in stat. So they saw me that same day. And I had an MRI done that day, and I'm sitting there. I'm the only one in the waiting room. How in the hell can they be backed up?
Yeah.
There's no one there. And then when I got the MRI done, you know, in 30 minutes I'm out of there, and there's still no one there.
Yeah.
How can they be backed up?
It's crazy. I think there's too much red tape that fills in all these gaps is the issue. And unfortunately, I think that's where a majority of the money goes into as well, is the red tape, the time that the red tape binds everything up costs an exponential amount more, which, you know, obviously they don't want to keep increasing the budget.
Right.
And we're seeing no results from an increase in budget. So I think they need to figure out, you know, some sort of efficiency or some sort of accountability program where they hash all this stuff out.
Right. Yeah.
And whether or not that's just getting rid of the VA altogether and going the Medicaid, Medicare route, might make more sense.
It does.
Obviously, the
It does.
community care is a prime example of
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Where I call and I need a dental appointment. Nope. Go
Yeah.
see the one across the street. You're a civilian provider. We'll pay for it.
Right.
Okay, I can get in tomorrow.
Yeah.
it's the way to do it.
Yeah, it seems to be the viable methodology
totally
there.
agree.
And
Totally.
I can hold them accountable all day long. They,
Yeah.
you know, if there's any sort of malpractice
Well,
or
and
anything.
it's because if you get an appointment on the outside, in the real world, my wife calls it the real world.
The real world, yeah.
she was a therapist when I met her, and so it's like she's like, if this would have happened in the real world, they'd been fired
Unequivocally.
in a heartbeat. They
Yeah.
would be gone,
Yeah.
you know, but they're not held accountable.
Yeah. But we allow it this direction for some
Yeah,
reason.
you go in for your appointment, 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, you're still sitting there.
Yeah.
On the outside, you go in, say your appointment's at 10 o'clock. They see you at 10 o'clock, and then you're out the door.
Yeah.
Time is money.
So you spent, 40 years navigating this healthcare system. That, you're still kicking. You're
Yep.
still doing it up live, and now you're. We over the last few weeks we've had kind of the whole crew together. Where it's Eric, we have Jason
Right.
coming on soon. You guys all know each other, and you guys are all involved in archery and just really crushing it.
Yeah. You know, but Jason's a big fella. I want to talk him into doing some field events.
Oh, yeah?
That was my bread and butter, was track and field.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. My first 5 Paralympic games were track and field.
5.
That's
done five.
amazing.
5.
Incredible.
I went to London as a coach.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
What events were they?
Shot disc and javelin.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yep. At one time I held a world record, gold medal in the javelin. Yeah.
Wow.
That's for life. You are a gold
Oh
medalist
yeah.
for life.
I'm in the history books.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can look it up, and there I am, world record.
That's incredible.
Probably wear that everywhere.
I might not ever take that off.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite?
I love the discus.
Discus.
Yep.
And how does that work in a chair?
Basically, we don't throw. Years ago, we used to throw out. You throw out of your everyday chair,
Okay.
but now it's like they have. You could build something up. It's got to be like 72 centimeters, because the average thrower from the hips down is about 73 centimeters.
Okay.
So then they allow up to 73 centimeters the height of the chair.
Okay.
So basically, they have ratchet straps, the anchors in the ground, so they tie you down to the ground real tight,
Okay.
so the chair doesn't move. So basically, whatever you're able to generate within your upper body is all you have.
Okay.
So you're literally just like a quarter rotation.
That's it.
Maybe a 90-degree rotation.
Well, you try to get as much torque as back as you can.
Sure.
And how far are you throwing that thing?
My PR is like 23 meters,
23.
which is back in the day, in my day, that was really good, because I mean,
Yeah.
quadriplegics compete against quadriplegics. In
Sure.
today's world, if you're a spinal cord injury, you can't compete, because they have all these other weird disabilities that slip under the radar, and they have a lot more function.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but it was it was nice.
I mean, that's a pretty incredible toss too for
Yeah.
not taking any steps or any full
Oh, I
rotations.
know. Yeah. It's just, I mean,
That's
but
a
they have
significant
guys.
distance.
They have like some para classes. I mean, the higher like if you have a higher leg amputation and stuff, you can opt to sit down and throw. That's a class 58. Those guys are throwing 50-something meters.
That's incredible.
For just kind of
Half of a football field.
Yeah.
a torso rotation.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But it's all technique.
Sure.
Yeah.
It is all technique. I mean, you can't muscle the discus or the javelin.
I bet you,
No.
though, the back would be a little
yeah.
messed up after that.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Day in that
Yes.
chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a lot of.
And when you rotate, you're just stopping. It's
You
not-
are. I mean, that's why, when you throw, it's called a block. When you throw your elbow across to accelerate the throw, I mean, you're stopping right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like everything else follows, but guess what? This stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything just like compresses on each other.
Oh.
So you said 5 that
Yes.
you've been to.
Yeah.
Where what's the locations?
I was in Seoul, Korea in '88, Barcelona, Atlanta, Australia, Greece.
Wow.
Yeah. I made the team to go to Beijing, but I started just dropping shit. I mean, I'd go to throw the discus and it would just fall out of my hand. So I went to see the doctor at Craig Hospital, and they said I had a pretty severe compression going on. And I'm like, well, can it wait until after the game? And they're like, that's up to you. But, I mean, if you have a freak fall, you could be on a respirator the rest of your life.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, let's get this surgery done.
Get it taken
Yeah.
care of.
Yep. So I missed Beijing. But then I went to London as one of the coaches. And
That's amazing.
never again.
Never again.
No, athletes are whiners, man.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
Oh, my God. But we didn't whine when I was there.
Bunch of prima donnas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
And
like-
what year was that?
What's that? In Atlanta?
That you went to coach.
In London, 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you saw that difference in athletes
Oh, yeah.
kind of progress over
Yes.
the years.
Yes. And, because, with technology and everything, it's like the athletes are bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like when I was first injured and started competing, I didn't do plyometrics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You go to the weight room, you slam some weights around, and then you go throw.
Yeah.
But now it's like these athletes, and they're awesome athletes, they're so in tune with their body, they can tell you if a rib's out of place.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's like, because now it's like, the last time I competed was at the World Championships, and it's like, I have pictures where they do, I was having some wrist pain, they did acupuncture.
Okay. Right there on the spot.
Right on the spot.
Yeah.
It's like, holy crap. And it felt better.
Do you think that pampering of athletes is driving the issue, or what do you think it is?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. These guys are like, nonstop. Well, I got a 10 o'clock appointment with the chiropractor, and it's like, dude, no, we're throwing, dude.
Yeah.
You know, we're out there at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista, and it's like, if y'all ever get the opportunity, it's beautiful out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's but that's where we do track and field, and it's like these guys, it's like, yeah, they're like prima donnas. It's like,
and I'm sure it drives you a little, it irks you a little bit more, right? Because you're like, if I'm not complaining, you shouldn't be complaining.
yeah, you know. But it makes you think too. It's like, man, if I'd have had that shit when I was their age, it's like maybe my longevity. Maybe I could have threw further.
Yeah.
Maybe I had 5 ribs out of place. I don't know. But these guys, I mean, they know their bodies a lot more than what. Because back in the day, it's like, you know, no pain, no gain.
Power through.
Yeah. That's what you did.
Equipment and technology too. You know, I was watching this kind of, I think, single episode about the swimsuits they create.
Yeah.
And just the
Yep. They're sleek and it helps them
hydrodynamics.
glide through the water.
Yeah, and it's just a swimsuit can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
When you're increasing efficiency, 0.5% here, 0.5% there.
Yeah, seconds.
Yeah, eventually it adds up to 3, 4, 5, 6%.
And but you see that now. I mean, you know, 30 years ago.
Well, like in 2000, Kathy Freeman, I think was her name, and she was the Aboriginal woman for Australia in the 800 meter, and she wore that real tight pantsuit with the hoodie and all that. She won gold.
Yeah,
You know, that's
probably
when people,
something to it.
That's when people started saying, "Hey, you know, there's something to that."
Yeah.
You know, you make yourself more aerodynamic.
Absolutely. Well, you know, if the opposite's true. If you have a big old baggy clothes on, you go running, you can feel that drag a little bit.
Yes.
If you're in the water,
Yeah.
absolutely, you feel the drag there.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's just not skin tight.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
now, when I would
there's-
swim, it's like my pockets were big in my swimsuit.
Yeah.
Because they would fill up with water.
Turn into an anchor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you have swimmers that could tell from, you know, having hair on their legs and arms.
Yeah, that
That's
too.
Obnoxious.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah. They're all bald.
All bald. That's right.
From the eyebrows down.
Yeah,
Well,
but I don't get the double hat or the swim cap. Why they double that up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They
that
all
one.
do it, but I just don't. I don't.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah.
A little research on that one. Well, that's a pretty incredible story. I really admire your attitude and how,
Yeah.
you know, going through something, you know, 40 years, when you're 19 years old and getting to a point where, I mean, that we're all here for a reason. You said it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And now you get to kind of show the world, maybe it's okay to toughen up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you know, winners train, losers complain.
You're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
Winners go home and
Because you know, and that's what I try to tell younger athletes is be gracious in what you do. You know, give back when you can. You know, I said good things will happen. You know, it's like before, like the Paralympics in 2012, I got a call from the White House. I thought it was a prank because I hung up. So the USOC's calling me, Gabe, take the call. Like what? Well, it was Michelle Obama's Good Girl Friday. I don't know what they call them or whatever, but she said that Michelle Obama would want to know if I would accompany her for the opening ceremonies
that's
at the Olympic Games.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first
I'm
lady.
like, whoa. I was like, really? It's like, so I flew over on Air Force Two with Michelle Obama.
No
Oh,
shit.
amazing.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a cool opportunity.
Yeah, that was part of her delegation for the opening ceremonies with,
Yeah.
I think, Grant Hill, Summer Sanders, Brandy Chastain, Dominique Dawes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a cool opportunity.
So it really is. And I tell people it's like something like that doesn't happen unless you do good things.
Yeah.
You know, just give back.
And not give up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, when you were 19 sitting in that hospital, you thought your life was over.
I did. Oh, yeah.
And look
I mean,
what you've accomplished.
I'm sitting here not being able to move anything. And it was just like, what the heck? You know?
And then you had kids that you couldn't even.
Well, I remember asking the OT, it's like, how will I know if I can have kids? And this is exactly what she told me. And excuse me, people out there. She goes, well, go jack off, see what happens. It's exactly what she told me. It's like, oh, shit.
That's
like,
it, huh?
Wow. Okay, whatever.
That's
like,
funny.
That's funny.
yeah, it was the weirdest thing.
And now you have 2 kids.
I have 4.
4 kids. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 2 from my first marriage, and we've got 2 kids in this marriage.
Okay, that's incredible.
Well,
Yep.
incredible. And,
Yeah.
you know, now you're dad. And
Yeah.
You're here for a reason.
Yep. You know, pass on
The
knowledge.
ripple that you've made across. I mean, even just one specific incident of being a coach in London.
Yeah.
You know, help kind of pass that knowledge around. So
Yeah.
it's incredible. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about your story. It's incredible, the story of resilience and the frustrations that you must go through as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's annoying, but hopefully stories like these is
Yeah.
what we need to, you know, kind of spread the word on.
You can always see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
You just got to open your eyes.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, thanks very much for joining us today, Mr. Gabe. We really appreciate your time and your
All right.
insight. It's been a pleasure.
Anytime. Appreciate it.
This has been the Medevac podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching today. If you want to see a specific guest, hear about specific topics, or interact with myself and Dave somehow, head on over to the Instagram at Medevac Podcast. And if you don't mind, if you've made it this far, leave a review, whatever platform you're listening to this on, interact with it somehow. We would do the same for you. See you guys next week.
See you next time.